In 1945, as the Second World War was coming to a close, a group of determined volunteers set about establishing a new charitable organisation to help people across Scotland. Back then, the NHS had not yet been created and affordable healthcare was out of the reach of many. Over the next couple of years, they established a hospital in Glasgow providing healthcare at subsidised rates, and depots across Scotland where people could borrow things like wheelchairs, crutches and bed rests, all improving the quality of people's lives. In 1947, the organisation was officially established as the Priory of Scotland of the Order of St John. In carrying out healthcare across the communities in Scotland, they were carrying on the traditions of the ancient Order of St John. The order can trace its history to the 11th century and a group of people in Jerusalem who provided medical aid and care to sick pilgrims. This group became the Knights Hospitaller and in one form or another maintained its caring duties over the following centuries until it was dissolved in Britain during the reign of Henry VIII. In the 1880s, the order was reconstituted and began providing medical services again through the St John Ambulance Association in England, which provided first aid and ambulance care for people living and working in dangerous industrial conditions. Around the same time, the St Andrews Ambulance Association was starting to provide similar services in Scotland. In 1908, an agreement was made where St Andrews Ambulance Service would provide first aid in Scotland and St John in England. This left an unusual situation where even today, first aid and ambulances are provided around the world from numerous St John organisations, but not here in Scotland. It would take until 1945 for the organisation which now operates as St John Scotland to get off the ground, when Scottish members of the Order of St John decided there was still plenty a St John organisation could do to help people here. From a standing start in the 1940s, over the next decades, St John committees around the country built and ran hospitals, care homes, respite homes and accommodations. These homes provided comfortable, affordable accommodation for people who needed it, including older people and those with disabilities. Run by volunteers, the St John homes also provided the personal touch, greatly improving the residents' quality of life.
One of the ladies, members of the committee, took upon herself to every month visit every single resident, and she could tell you everything about them all. She was lovely, and these are. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but I think back now, I think that was just no wonder they enjoyed being there, because she could tell you all about their family and their problems, and oh, it was just great, very happy times. Yes. Once a year, I remember, I play the pipes badly, but my wife and I quite enjoy dancing, so we brought along our Ceilidh band from the Bearsden Church, and they played for sing-along. It was all the old favourites at Christmas, and I used to take our children along, and the residents just loved the tiny tots roaming around, eating the crisps and the nuts and the sweets, and these are the touches that just you cannot buy. It's very nice times.
In the 1980s and 90s, changes to the law in social care made it increasingly difficult for homes to be run purely using volunteers. At that point in time, St John Scotland looked at other ways that it could help communities and the people of Scotland to improve their quality of life. After a long association with Aberdeen Mountain Rescue Team, St John began supporting other teams, supplying vehicles and bases to enable the teams to work more effectively.
The problem for mountain rescue teams, and particularly those in areas where there's not a big population, is finance. I mean, it costs, for example, to run the Aberdeen costs something in the region of between £45,000 and £50,000 a year. Now back then, obviously, it wasn't as much as that, But supplying equipment and clothing, basic clothing to the folks in the team was a huge drain on resources. And vehicles, providing vehicles, maintaining vehicles, and doing all of that sort of stuff. So a lot of teams, and the Aberdeen team was no exception, we spent an inordinate amount of time fundraising. But fundamentally, the Order and the Order's continued support of Mountain Rescue and continued support of the Aberdeen team, I think was a huge factor in taking Mountain Rescue in Scotland from what was, I think, a very ad hoc set of organisations, and giving them the equipment to actually become much more professional in what they did. And I think there are a lot of mountain rescue teams in Scotland who would not be in the financial position they're in now and have the equipment and the vehicles and the accommodation they've got if it was not for the contributions made by the Order.
St John Scotland's committees also raise funds to support other local causes.
I had been to another meeting and got involved, heard about a lady who worked in the children's ward in Regmore Hospital, actually called play therapists. Now it sounds as if all they do is play with children, but they do an awful lot more than that. And they were struggling to be able to provide things for the children. And I put it to the committee one day, could we help them in any shape or form? So we did a fashion show 3 years running, specifically for that money to go to the children's ward. And we raised over, I think it was £3,500 in the 3 years. And that was great fun. It was absolutely brilliant. It really was. You've no idea the people that I had to model clothes. Just from everyday people. My husband worked in a garage at that time. He had some of the mechanics and the salesmen were doing the male modelling. It was great fun.
And new services, which are now the familiar face of St John Scotland, were started, such as patient transport, which began in Stranraer.
I think at that time, and I think it's still the case, people that require cancer treatment in essence have to go to the Western General in Edinburgh. The problem was that, yes, turn up at the Hospital Dumfries, we'll get to Edinburgh. How do people get from Stranraer or the western end of the region to Dumfries? So that's how the transport service started, and I mean it's been an absolute godsend, and it's been appreciated by so many people, and I don't know how some people have gone without it.
Today, although the services that we provide have changed, St John Scotland still has the same aims as those who set it up in 1947 to improve health across Scotland. Our volunteer-run patient transport services provide a lifeline to people who need dialysis treatment or who are going through treatment for cancer. It's more than just about getting from A to B, it's the friendly face and reliable service people need when going through a tough time. Our volunteer community first responder groups respond to life-threatening emergencies in their local area, helping to save lives. And St John Scotland volunteers work in the heart of their communities right across the country to help more people learn life-saving CPR and support groups to install defibrillators to help save lives from cardiac arrest. For 75 years we've been here to serve the people of Scotland, and with your help we can continue to make Scotland a caring place where more of us will survive a health crisis to live longer and better.